G'day YouTube. This is part 3, the story of how to hold a grudge. For Hugh, Tudor of the Black and Tans.
Stride.
Eric, it's Alex. How's it going? The investigation?
There's something else now. We have another body.
How much can you tell me about it?
Well, almost nothing at this point.
The new body wouldn't happen to be Irish, would he? Just make an educated guess?
As it happens, your guess is right, but that's one of the things we haven't sorted out yet.
Well, either way, it brings us back to the IRA. And while there's a certain logic there, I have to wonder about it. The organization isn't anything like it used to be. There's not even a pale shadow of the crew that took on the British Empire back in the 20s. They've been reorganizing and rebuilding, but...
Would this be a score they'd like to settle?
Maybe. The scene that got played out in Bannerman Park Monday night, that looked a lot like some of what went on in Ireland in the 20s.
But that was then, and this is now. And if the IRA's all but disappeared as a functional organization, where's the connection with what went on here Monday night?
I don't know.
The story was that 2 Irish hitmen came out from the IRA to assassinate him. And the night before they were to do the dirty deed, they went up to the basilica to make their confession, just in case things went wrong and they got killed. And apparently when they told the priest what their intentions were, he said that he was going to denounce them, break the seal of confession, and denounce them, because it wasn't a genuine confession anyway, since they were planning to do murder. And he told them that they had until the next morning to get out of town fast, or else the Archbishop would be calling on the Chief of Police, and that would be the end of it.
Yes. Father Murphy told me that when he was a young priest, he was assigned to the cathedral, the Basilica then Cathedral. He said that he was in the palace one night, dining with the bishop and Senior McDermott, and the doorbell rang. And the woman came in, she said that there's a person at the door who wants to see a priest. And he said, look, Tommy, will you go out and see who it is? He said, do whatever it is they want done. Well, when he went out, there were 2 fellows on the doorstep. And they said, we've come to see a priest in heavy Irish accents. And he said, I'm a priest. What is it you want to see? He said, he had his collar off and he was just relaxed. And they said, we've been sent out here from Ireland to do a duty for the IRA. And we're starting to get very puzzled by it. And we're a bit afraid we might be going to commit sin. And so he said, well, what is the thing you're doing? And they said, we were sent out here to kill General Tudor. He said, kill General Tudor? He said, well, I don't know what to tell you. So Monsignor McDermott came out and he said, what's this I hear about you killing General Tudor? Well, that's what we're sent out here. But see, people here seem to like him and we don't know quite what to do. He said, I'll tell you what to do. I've got no sympathy for what Hugh Tudor may have done in Ireland, but this is not Ireland. There's a ship down at the end of Cochrane Street, he said, that's going over to Liverpool tomorrow, and you go down and you get aboard that ship and you take your problems back to Ireland and don't bring them over here ever again. That's the way Tommy told it to me. And he said that the 2 disappeared.
Well, there's about 3 or 4 different versions of that, and I can't say I agree with any of them. Being a Catholic myself, having been raised Catholic, I think it's because of my upbringing I cannot imagine a priest threatening to break the seal of confession. I've never heard of any example of it. I mean, I'm sure there had to have been under torture and things like that, but not under normal circumstances. On the other hand, it would have been under Archbishop Roach, and he was one tough cookie too. I sometimes think he was capable of almost anything, including, assassinating Hugh Tudor if he chose to.
Well, the
priest that the two would-be assassins went to for confession. They wanted absolution. They were going to execute an enemy of Ireland's. They weren't committing a murder. It was a military act, and they felt they could get absolution for this. And the priest didn't want to send them out to kill anybody or have them storming out of the confessional or turn against the church, as many physical force Republicans did. So he hit on the brilliant idea of discussing their plans for the operation, and he just chanced to ask them, well, what's your plan for getting off the island? They said, what island? They didn't realise that Newfoundland was not part of the Canadian mainland. So yet another assassination attempt on Tudor bit the dust.
It's odd to me that, I mean, he comes over in 1925 or thereabouts, and 25 years later, the IRA is still looking for him.
Yeah. So they probably didn't have anything much to do. I said, we're being forgotten. Let's do something to get us back in the headlines. And we could kill that old fellow over in Newfoundland.
Oh, not at all. That was two sort of overly patriotic Irish guys acting on their own volition. Nobody told them to do it. I mean, if a squad were sent over, then at least, no, that would have been a major op. And the IRA in the 50s weren't geared for that. They were really directed at attacking the
I thought it was 1947.
northern state from south of the border. They certainly weren't strong enough to send people off after yesterday's enemy.
He lived here for almost 50 years altogether.
So you'd think that if they were going to bump him off, they would have done it in the first few years.
You would have thought so. Except that there's, the Irish, they always talk about the old Irish Alzheimer's, where you forget everything but your grudges. And maybe that's what it was.
Like I said, how to hold a grudge.
I went to the...
I think we've got to be
Cemetery
calling this
Records
British
people.
tribal
They said, of course,
violence.
to find the grave was
Internecine
17D.
tribal violence among
That's
the
not
British.
always accurate. Gone past the first.
What do you think of that story of the two Irish guys who came over to do him in?
Well, I think the community, the Irish sort of Catholic community in Newfoundland, probably feel that the fact they lived here is kind of a black mark on them. He was there, and we give him an easy ride. Yet, what could we have done? That's a question.
Well, maybe what we did was invent a story about two assassins coming over to bump him off.
Well, there you have it. I think it was a story to bolster up our self-image in terms of the Irish Catholic community in St. John's at this time. That would be, in my humble opinion. It's a widely believed story, an apocryphal story that sort of, it's a story, and that's all it is. It's a story, but it's short of facts. And I don't think it ever happened, and it's a legend, it's fiction, and that's what it is. It is what it is. That's what it is. Just look here. It's a kind of like a sandstone kind of shine on it. Major General Sir Hugh H. Tudor, KCB, CB, CMG, and of course underneath it is 1871 to 1965. And that's
65.
all. There are no roses, there are no wreaths on this particular grave.
So that'd make him 95 when he died.
Yes.
And he died of old age, basically?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
This is the best Shaggy Dog story I've ever recorded.
Stride.
Eric? Thomas Butcher.
Thomas, anything new on the autopsy?
That's why I'm calling. We just got the results of the fingerprint analysis. Late in the game, I know, but... Are you sitting down?
Go on.
The body. Actually, it is not General Hugh Tudor.
What?
No. Tudor, in fact, won't die until September 25th, 1965, in the Veterans Pavilion here in St. John's, of natural causes.
What?
At 95 years of age.
Then who was the body murdered in Bannerman Park in 1947?
Someone very like Tudor, in fact. Fits a lot of the profile. Ex-British Army, dirty deeds in Ireland, all that.
Do you have a name?
Harrison Rose. It seems he's a fictional character.
Fictional?
Yes, in a mystery novel by Thomas Curran.
You're telling me that Hugh Tudor was not assassinated?
The real Hugh Tudor? No, he wasn't. He dies quietly in his bed, 1965. Look, you probably need a little time to sit with this. I won't bring the report up to headquarters until after lunch. We'll talk then.
You...
Stride stood up and closed the door to his office. He went back to his desk, opened the bottom drawer, and took out the bottle he kept there for moments like this. He poured himself 2 fingers. No, 3 fingers. He lit a cigarette and stared at the window. He noticed outside it was raining again.
Are there any other anecdotes or memories that you might like you could tell us about?
Oh, I can't think of anything much more.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed, General Tudor. It's been a most informative interview.
Tell them how the IRA made you run like hell away from the green and lovely lanes in Killashandra.
So,
The day is coming fast and the time is here.
what do we call this series of movies? The bullshit content of British tribal violence?
Sure, my kids will sing Godspeed.
That might be a good one.
With a verse or two of Stephen Bean's chorus. Come out, shed like and chance, come out and fight me like a man. Show your wife how you won medals down in Flanders. Tell them how the IRA made you run like hell away from the green and lovely lanes in Killashandra.
There you go.
Today's program, A Bullet for the General, was written, narrated
Bullet for
and
the
produced for RTE Ireland by Chris Brooks from Battery Radio in Newfoundland. The dramatised scenes were taken from the crime novel Death of a Lesser Man by Tom Curran. The performers were Aidan Flynn as Stride, Brian Hennessy as Butcher and Green, and Bernie Stapleton as Rita and Catherine. Special thanks to Paula Carroll of Rag and Bone Productions. And speaking of gumshoe detectives, next week's show.
Well, I really enjoyed that. I hope you people enjoy it. Bullet for the General's the name of the show. It was on ABC Radio National. From pretty much 1 to 5 to 2 on Sunday, June the 9th. And let that be a lesson to you all. It was a radio play explaining the depth of the bullshit behind the grandmother stories. The grandmother stories in Newfoundland, the grandmother stories in Ireland. And everybody thinks that what they learned at their grandmother's knee is obviously automatically correct. Wobbles on a lot of YouTube. Ciao.